Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. School's out, the kids are home. In my previous video, I shared with you all my experience as a paraprofessional in a self-contained classroom. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how my first full year went, what I learned, and a few things that helped me understand children with learning disabilities. Let's get started. So first, how it went. I felt for my first year, I had a great experience. I worked with another teacher and also two other paraprofessionals, including myself. I do believe if you don't work with other people as a team, the children won't succeed either. I truly believe that. So I felt like the team I worked with was very understanding. Everyone worked together all the times. Everyone always helped each other. And this is just the adults. Where it came to the kids, every single day was different. There were kids that got triggered by other kids. There were students that didn't transition well, whether it was going from the classroom to the playground or from the gym back to the classroom. Having a team that really worked together really made a difference. What I learned. I did write a few things down because nothing I experienced in this classroom, I've experienced in another classroom when I substitute taught. This was completely different. I learned different things which will help me succeed next year. So one of the things I will say is transitioning challenges. I didn't realize that kids transitioning from one environment to another would be such a difficult task. Some people might see it as behavior issues. Some people might see it as not listening, but it's truly those kids that just can't transition well and constantly need that routine to know, okay, we're going from this area to back to this area. So messing up any kind of transition in their day will mess up the way they'll react to it. So that's one thing I noticed transitioning. So we use different fidget toys to transition from the playground to inside. We use other things to get them motivated to move on to the next thing. When it came to playing centers, transitioning from science centers to blocks to maybe dramatic play center, every transition was different for every student. Some student was easy to transition, and there were students that were very triggered by transitioning. So that was something I learned, and that was something we dealt with every single day. It was not a day we didn't have a student that had an issue with transitioning. It might have been the same student, or it could have been a different student another day with a different area. Like one day they might like going to the gym, another day they're dropping and falling because they don't want to go to the gym. So every day was different, and we really needed to know how to prepare for that. Thing that goes along with transitioning is routine. Staying on routine is key because if you don't stay on a routine, you might have a student that may elope. We had a student that would always leave the classroom, for example, if it was raining, like right now it's raining outside. It would be raining and we wouldn't have recess that day. We'd have indoor recess. But his internal clock will tell him, okay, after this center, we all line up and we go to recess. So when that wouldn't happen, he would run out the door. He would say outside. He wasn't always verbal, but certain things like that, he would be like outside, outside. He's ready to go. But then we constantly have to be like, it's raining, no outside today. So messing up a routine could really mess up the way those students behave. So routine was key with everything. Sometimes the school would have firefighters come outside for certain events. Sometimes we would have other events going on in the school. So sometimes the teacher would really have to decide, is it worth messing up their routine to go see a show or something the school is doing? Because it would not always be the best for our students. So routine was definitely key. And anytime the routine would change, you would see a difference, whether it was in one student or another student. They could not transition properly. So we had to keep a routine together. Another thing I learned with kids that are nonverbal, I do not want to say a diagnosis because, again, I'm still inexperienced. So I can't say this person is nonverbal or their speech is inconsistent because of this diagnosis. I really don't understand. I'm still learning. I'm still Googling every day while I was in the class. I always want to learn more and see what's going on. So I will say one thing I learned is that sometimes their speech is inconsistent. One day we would have a student that would say all these words, just words, not really phrases or like conversation communicating, just words. And then another day they wouldn't speak at all. Or it would be a week, 2 weeks, wouldn't speak at all. And not understanding why. Like you said it one day and I won't say it. Or you would say a full sentence one day and then you won't say it again for like 2 weeks. So the constant speech inconsistency was difficult for me to understand in the beginning. So when it came to later on in the year, I just constantly just try to make it consistent, regardless if they would say it or not, encourage them to say something they said already. So it will continuously be in their head. But again, this is just something I felt that helped. It's something that I looked up, Google, YouTube, just to see that kids that are nonverbal can still say certain things, but I don't know how to make them say it consistently every single day. So their speech not being consistent, that was something I had to learn. I didn't know that was a thing. Another thing I learned with the inconsistency is I've never heard of the term pica. So pica, if you don't know, that I had to learn was when someone would eat, I'm not sure when the age actually stops, but when they would eat dirt and they would eat mud or they would eat rocks instead of eating actual food. So I never learned that term until we had a student that would eat sand. We would go outside, they would eat the sand, they would eat the grass, and then it'd be lunchtime and they wouldn't eat anything. So the whole recess, I would focus on making sure they don't eat these things. But when we get to lunch, I'm thinking they're starving and they wouldn't eat their lunch. So that was very weird to me in the beginning, to be honest with you. It was very weird. And one of the paraprofessionals told me about pica. So when she said that, I looked it up, I saw what it was, and I was like, okay, I understand. But then that student also would eat fruit sometimes. Sometimes she would eat all her fruit, and then other times it would be a month go by, she would eat nothing in her lunchbox, but loved Play-Doh. So would literally go and just try to go get Play-Doh to eat. And I'm just like, and I've said to her, I'm like, Mommy made you all this great food. Like, don't you want to eat it? But she would prefer to eat other things that weren't food. So that's something else I had to learn. I've never experienced that with my own kids. I've never experienced that with my niece, with my nephew. I've never experienced that with anyone. So that's something I had to learn. I had to look up. I had to see, okay, how to get a kid away from pica. But I'm also not the parent, so I can't suggest these things to these parents. But I also just wonder, like, if the parents are taking them to therapy, or is their parents trying to get them to eat real food, or just letting them grow out of it? So those are all the things I was learning and things I kept looking up. I swear every day I was Googling and YouTubing. Definitely the first few months being in this classroom. After a while, it kind of like went away a little bit, but I was always Googling and YouTubing because I just didn't know some kids are like this. I didn't understand it.